Greetings, friends! Welcome back to the Messed Up Movies Podcast, the podcast celebrating movies and filmmakers that embrace the insane, the outrageous, the unhinged, the off-kilter, and the all-around kind of fun. Sam refuses to take his eyes off of. Long stares. Welcome back, everyone. We have some special episodes in store for you this July. As you know, we are filming Mr. Cream Jean's Hidey Hole, probably as you're hearing this. So we're going to be bogged down. We're not going to be able to interview a lot of filmmakers this July, so we decided we would do some kind of draft episodes to fill the void, stay in touch with you guys. We had a lot of fun doing these live. Very exciting today. I'm your host, Griffey, joined as always by Heath, Benfield, Sam Price. Welcome back.
Hello.
Special guest returning, our other pod sister. Sophia is back in the mix. Welcome. Sophia, would you like to start off by yelling at Sam and his grandma blanket about how he fucking robbed you at the last live show?
Not this man coming in with the grandma blankie over the knees,
come
stealing
on,
my win.
So I have decided that Sophia is my draft day nemesis. Going forward.
Jesus, did you know you were
I'm
walking into a
Obi-Wan
feud?
Kenobi to his Anakin Skywalker from the Star Wars.
Yeah, I'm Obi-Wan. She's Anakin.
You guys can decide. The Star Wars has brought a rift in our group. Well, I realized that when we did the live show, I was perhaps a bit too drunk, and I just heard anyone cheer for Sam and was so caught off guard, I granted him the win illegally. Heath reminded me I should ask the audience to have had you guys square off, and we think Sophia would have killed you.
I will admit, I think Sophia won too, but I was in the moment, and I took it.
Even I, in the moment, was like, you definitely got the win.
Yeah.
It was very exciting.
Everybody wanted me to win. Everybody wanted the underdog to win.
Everyone was pulling for old Sam. So here's the deal today, guys. We decided we're going to do a film festival draft, right? The thesis of this, we are pitching a 3-film festival where we will curate the movies. You guys will choose which film festival you would most want to attend. Today's topic, we're drafting movies directed by John Carpenter, one of our favorite directors of all time, one of the best directors of all time, not according to Sam. He thinks John Carpenter's not famous enough to get a podcast.
Well, I was just joking, but yeah.
He wanted to do a most messed up Zemeckis movies, I think is what he said. So, anyways.
Who directed Taxi? I think he'd love to do a...
It might have been John Carpenter.
Director.
John Carpenter directed Taxi with Queen Latifah's.
I'm just saying it might have been.
I cannot wait until you forget about this bit. That is the day I'm ready for.
I'm never going to forget about it.
I'm going to roll for order real quick so we can see. We wanted this to be fair, so I'm not accused of cheating. So Sam gets a 15. Heath gets a 10. I've got my sparkly D20. I get a 17. Classic.
God.
Sophia, 9.
Damn.
So I will be starting today's draft. I thought before we dove into the draft, though, if everyone could start off, what makes John Carpenter such an incredible director who has stood the test of time, made so many absolute classic films? Sophia, what do you love most about John Carpenter movies?
Kind of a trick question, because I think I like him more as a composer than a director.
Yes, well, I think that is one of his biggest assets.
Yeah, for sure. I think John Carpenter brings the eerie in a very simple way.
Yes.
It doesn't take a lot for
That's a
him
good way
to
to put
make things uncomfortable. And he, though, can at times be over the top, doesn't need to be over the top.
Yeah.
Which I think makes a good composer, director, designer, writer, producer,
there is a
whatever.
lean muscularness to his movies that I adore.
I think that's why he's lasted for so long. It's
Mm-hmm.
timeless because he doesn't fall into style necessarily.
The smooth
But you
jazz.
know exactly a John Carpenter movie when you're watching.
He has a style, but it's a classic style.
See, I think of him like how I think of Stephen King novels, right? It's everyman Americana. He has great everyman actors in all these roles. People that look like real human beings, which I think we've lost in a lot of movies. That makes it go a long way. Sam, what do you have to add here?
I just think he's pound for pound the greatest.
This is pandering to the fucking audience right here is what's happening.
I mean, okay, so I agree with Sophia, dude. His music is amazing.
Yes.
Like, it's very rare that you get people that are multi-talented. Like, he's like an auteur. He's like like he's saying he's a classic. The classic director was like the auteur, you know?
Yeah.
He does the music, he does the producing, he does everything.
Yes. Yeah. And I think the cool thing about him, too, is, like, right now, right? Like, Bong Joon-ho, who just won an Oscar for Parasite, like, one of the hottest directors, they were at a conference together, and he begged John Carpenter to score his new movie.
Yeah.
So John Carpenter still is reaching back through time.
How old is John Carpenter?
70.
Yeah, he looks old as shit when you see him now. But he's the guy who did it best. He made his movies, and now he's like, all I want to do all day now is just play PS5 and play with my band.
Yep.
Like, he lived the actual Hollywood dream that I think I have. So I'll start the draft off. Maybe not the most impressive John Carpenter movie. It's not the one we talk about all the time, but my personal favorite John Carpenter movie I saw as a boy with a concussion and might have shaped more than any other movie I ever saw my cinematic taste. I'm taking Big Trouble Little China with the number one pick. I love that movie. It's got this D&D sense of mysticism. There are some real scary monster moments. It's got the like Ginger Yeti. It's got the one-eyed like beholder monster. It's got all this kind of mysticism and zombies and superpowers. And at the core, I think the greatest asset John Carpenter ever stumbled into was Kurt Russell. Yeah. And Kurt Russell is Jack Burton with the, checks in the mail, the infinite amount of kind of Han Solo devil may care bravado. That's my favorite John Carpenter movie. So I'm going to start with Big Trouble Little China.
Nice.
So next up, Sophia.
All right, I'm taking the easy throw, Halloween.
You have to.
I mean, yeah, I'm a sucker for slasher horror. That's always been and will always be my favorite,
and
like,
it's the
subgenre.
The proto
of
slasher.
The entire, yeah. So he, again, I really am a fan of his as a composer, and I feel like it really kind of, like, launched his whole, like, doo-doo, the heavy synth, like, every time I hear anything like that, whether it is a John Carpenter movie or a modern horror, I still always think back to Halloween.
Well, and that was in the 70s. We got a lot of
78
synth in the 80s,
Yeah.
so he sort of was on the
Friday the 13th.
He's a baddie.
Friday the 13th unabashedly was trying to do Halloween.
Yeah.
Sure.
And it launched, the 80s just were the explosion of slashers by the hand of Halloween, right? And again, I think the simplicity of that movie, the scale, like you never see a lot of blood.
No, you only see Michael Myers for what, like 15 minutes
Yeah,
in total.
it's
in
a
the
lot of
movie or
time him
something?
just like commuting and driving in cars. That movie has become so iconic and set the stage for
and
so
so
many movies.
effective, like for not
Still works.
showing the slasher or showing like actual violence or a lot of it, I guess, and then still creating such a major like sense of fear and an entire franchise that is still going to this day.
And that had the fear of all the white people who were moving to suburbia where bad things wouldn't happen.
Pasadena.
And then you get that scene where you pull the mask off and it's a little boy in a Halloween costume who killed his sister who had 15 seconds of sex. Yeah. That movie was really attacking the audiences who were going to see these movies. And again, I think it's just it's one of those movies I can watch and do like a VH1 pop-up video of all the trivia in that movie. I have watched that almost as much as any other movie in my life.
Have you ever seen the Movies That Made Us on Netflix?
Yes.
The episode about Halloween? It's really good.
Yes, it's incredible. All right, so Sam.
I just wanted to say too, also wasn't that the first like babysitter?
Well, it was originally a script called The Babysitter Massacres, I believe.
Yeah.
Or Massacre.
But that's what kind of put it over the edge too, is because all of the like young teenagers that are
Jamie
doing
Lee
the
Curtis
babies-
became iconic from that movie. Yeah, for sure.
So that just hit on every.
All right, so what's your pick, Sam?
All right, the first one I'm gonna pick is Escape from L.A.
From L.A.
Okay, I thought that would be a late round grab for sure.
I wasn't sure
Why
if he actually
Escape
directed
from
it.
L.A.?
Peter Fonda, man.
The basketball scene and
Escape from LA?
Okay, hold on. I need some. I was writing it down and I was like, this has
the
to be a
basketball
typo.
scene. The scene, you know where
The basketball scene.
So there's this scene in Escape from L.A. where they're gonna kill him unless he can make like I think it's like 16 points in.
He has to make 4 baskets in like a very short
in like a
run.
minute or something, right? And then the very last one, he's at the very other end, and he just throws it one-armed all the way and makes
Has
it.
there ever been a good basketball scene in a movie that's not about basketball?
I don't
That
think
one.
Ever.
No.
I think when the lady gets killed by the basketball in Wes Craven's Deadly Friend, when they throw the basketball and it explodes Mama Fratelli's head. That's it. You didn't need basketball in Alien Resurrection. I think it's insane that of all of John Carpenter's
Number
wide
one.
breadth of cinema.
Well, I was gonna pick Halloween. That's my favorite horror movie.
So you're blaming this on
Me
Sophia?
too.
Not only this,
So,
but not the
enemies have
Beverly
so much in
Hills,
common.
Bruce Campbell's
Still my nemesis.
plastic surgeon. None of the other things. You went
Plastic
with
surgeon.
the basketball.
Well, the problem is I haven't seen several of these movies.
We're in the same
That's what I
boat.
love about Sam.
That is a problem.
Sam will walk in like a soldier. He's like, just give me my orders. I'm not prepared. I skip basic training.
Like I've heard
I'm
of-
ready for war.
I have heard of Village of the Damned, and it sounds awesome.
This is insane. I feel like you just
Sounds
lopsided
awesome.
this and are going to give Heath the win by leaving all the best movies on the table.
Well, I was counting on getting the first pick and going with Halloween.
Whoopsie daisy. So
I do have a. Well, also I can explain this further. So, Escape from L.A. right
Do we
terrifies
want
me. I was gonna pick Escape from New York because that's obviously, according to everyone, the better movie.
yeah, that's a hot take for sure. Yeah.
But having lived in LA and fearing that we were actually going to break off from the United States and float away was an everyday part of my life.
It was a cool concept.
Yeah.
It was a cool concept with a little bit of 90s
I gotta tell you,
flavor.
that movie made me almost buy a boat because I figured if we do...
This is an incredible section of Sam's life where every time he'd come to my apartment, he was talking about how he was about to live in a boat.
I wanted to live on a boat.
He wanted to buy a boat and live in a slip.
Think about it.
And not learn how to sail.
You don't need to know how to sail.
You're going to live in the dock?
Yeah.
Yeah. He's
going to buy a so upset by that.
He looked at you like, how would you... You've never thought of this?
As we learned in the vacation pod, Sam only sails through space.
That's right.
And I looked it up, and it is called Sailing Through Space.
Damn.
Okay. Yeah. I'm sure you could find anything on the internet to agree. This is wild.
But anyway, so the thing with the rising ocean levels is if you're in a boat, you just keep rising. You just keep going up with it.
No, yeah, I saw Waterworld. Yeah, I know the life you're looking
There's
for.
A whole...
So why not plan for the future?
One of the oldest stories ever told.
You're like the lamest Noah because you didn't want to bring anyone with you.
I'd take my wife, I guess.
That's so sweet, Taryn. That's
and
for you.
Queen Latifah.
All right, so Heath,
if only.
You are just gifted a golden opportunity here on the Turn to Barry.
This changes the math here. I was totally prepared to pick Escape from New York, but since Sam went with Escape from L.A., I have to choose The Thing.
Yeah,
that is the obvious choice here.
I think that's the best like that or Halloween, because Halloween set a tone that created a big genre. But The Thing might be the most effective filmmaking he's ever done. And
I especially love The Thing because my dad, one of the first movies he ever showed me was the original The Thing from Outer Space, directed by Howard Hawks. And that's an incredible movie.
Yeah.
So naturally, after we watched that, we watched the Carpenter version as well. Right. So this has been one of the movies that has been with me my entire life.
Yeah, and a movie that flopped against all odds when it came out and later became this ultra beloved. If you watch that thing Shudder did, the 100 Scariest Movies Ever, it was number 1, I'm pretty sure. It was 1 or 2, that and Texas Chainsaw.
It's the best remake of all time. It has to be.
That and The Fly, I think, are the top 2 remakes ever. And I don't think it's close. But you get the Rob Bottin, insane effects. That has some of the greatest creature effects. To this day. Ever in a movie.
I didn't realize that was a remake.
I was about to ask that question. I was like, I didn't know it was a
Thing. It was called The Thing from Another Planet originally.
Yeah, Thing from Another World, I believe.
Yes, Another World.
Yeah.
And that one had more of a... They didn't know where it was. They were going in and out of doors. It's very kind of 50s style movie.
It was a very tall man with an eggplant mask.
Yeah, like a giant green head. Like a Saba man from DBZ. Right. For the internet. They'll know what that is. That's a huge pick. What else do you got?
Oh, I'm on the turn. That's right.
Yeah, you get 2. This is why Sam might have blown the draft.
Okay, so it's either Escape from New York or it's They Live.
Now, remember, for film festivals, guys, I want the audience also grading us on thematically how these movies fit together.
Well, in that case, I'm going with Escape from New York since I have The Thing, both Kurt Russell films. And I'd say Escape from New York is probably the third best behind Big Trouble Little China.
Big Trouble Little China.
But again, back to childhood, Snake Plissken was like Indiana Jones.
Yes.
He was just one of those iconic characters, and we didn't have a whole lot of them up to that point. Like heroes, anti-heroes. He was Dirty Harry. He was James Bond. There was Indiana Jones, and there was Snake Plissken. And Kurt Russell, just an all-time iconic hero.
Yeah, and other than the Omega Man, we didn't do a lot of post-apocalypse in a big city. So watching how New York had become a prison and the way society had reformed itself, the limo with the chandelier and just these crazy cast of characters. And that movie has the classic ticking clock.
Yeah, it's great.
It's such a fun ride.
We have to, save the president, but why would I? Yeah. And just the costumes, the whole texture of it. He's really kind of pulling from...
It was a 70s gritty...
Well, that's the thing. He's pulling from Assault on Precinct 13, I think.
Another insane cartoon.
Yeah, I think that's probably the closest sister
on that
film.
That's not how drafts work, does it?
Those 2 movies are in conversation with each other. But
yes.
I think it was a foreshadowing of how New York actually ended up being.
Well, it was a commentary.
Hate big cities, it sounds like.
Dude, big cities are prisons.
New York at the time was that was when Ford to City dropped dead. That whole thing. New York was going to hell in a handcart, and so it was also a play off of what was really going on in the
socially
news.
topical.
Yeah.
Yes. Time. That's a great start to a festival.
Back to
this
me.
Kind of the world as we know it is crumbling festival that Heath's developing. Now for the what the hell is this festival? Sam, you're back.
All right.
Pick it. I fucking dare you to pick it with your second pick. Go ahead.
What, the one that I was talking about earlier?
Yeah.
I'm going to go with Ghost of Mars for my second pick.
Damn it, that was mine.
You can't possibly be mad someone took Ghost of Mars.
What do you mean?
You guys are leaving me on the boat.
With the Ice Cube?
With the Ice
So
Cube.
that's the main reason I picked it, because
Ice
Ice Cube.
He's in several Queen Latifah movies.
This is the what? So the crazy thing about that one, that was supposed to be the third Escape movie. It was going to be Escape from Mars.
Escape from
Snake
Mars,
Plissken.
yes.
Yeah.
And it's got Natasha Henstridge in it. I found out on IMDb.
Of Species fame?
Yeah.
Jesus Christ.
So it had a lot of stuff going for it, and it was set on Mars. And
Go on.
they had to escape, I believe,
Well,
because of anthrax.
I don't know if they. Well,
Nope, that part's incorrect.
Okay.
That part I know is
So-
I'm
correct.
really upset that you picked my movie now, but Anthrax
I
is the
am
band.
really upset that
but we're,
someone is
Oh,
validating
shit.
Sam's
Yeah.
pick by going, shit, you picked my movie.
So they didn't have to
Well-
escape because of anthrax, but anthrax did do the music for the movie.
with John Carpenter.
I don't think that's also true, is it?
Yeah.
The band Anthrax did
you
this
don't know
music
shit,
for
Griffey.
Ghost of Mars?
When was
I'm
Ghost of
pretty
Mars?
sure it was
02?
it was John Carpenter
Yeah, that was like
and somebody.
10 years later than it needed to be, I
Yeah,
think, was the
yeah,
It
problem.
came out
with
about
that
the same
movie.
time as Doom with
The Rock?
The Rock.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow.
All right. I'm leaving it at that. That's what I got.
Okay.
Jesus
well,
Christ.
That's a
Okay.
the path to victory has just been cleaved wide open. Sophia, what do you have for pick 2?
My panic pick, because I don't know, is going to be the TV documentary Elvis.
Wow.
Where
No. What is happening right now?
Hey, also starring Kurt Russell.
Also starring Kurt Russell.
What is happening?
Another iconic moment in history, Elvis Presley, if you will.
Hey, did he have to escape from anything, though?
Himself.
Obesity.
Obesity.
Yeah, the toilet.
He did have groupies. Yeah, he had to escape from
Groupies,
most of.
you know.
This is wild.
What an iconic moment. Until this day, I didn't know that John Carpenter even made an Elvis documentary. It will be number 1 on my watch list for the weekend.
It wasn't a documentary. It was a biopic.
It was a biopic.
Shit. Okay, well,
shit.
all I see is the
With
cover
Kurt
on
Russell.
this.
Yeah.
But Kurt
As
Russell's
Elvis.
in it. I'm a huge Elvis fan. I'm a huge Michael Myers
Was
fan.
Tom Hanks in it, though?
So you're
Not to
taking
my
men who
knowledge.
became famous for insane reasons. That's the kind of theme of
Who
your
people
festival
are
right now.
also unexplainably and awkwardly attracted to.
Wow.
Well, I don't think Elvis is unexplainable. He's very handsome. Isn't he?
I mean, yeah, he's a pretty classically handsome fellow.
Yeah. Tall, dark, and...
I always think of him at the
Tall.
end. I think that's the tall, dark, and tall.
Okay, well, this is...
I thought there were 3, but I think it's
Well,
just
I
tall.
thought Heath had this locked up. I feel like now I'm sitting in the power seat, and
I'm
this
so
is incredible.
sorry.
Wait till it gets back around.
panicked. He picked my movie.
I'm going to take They Live,
Yeah.
right, which I think is maybe the John Carpenter movie that's aged better than any other, right? It has Roddy Piper, who I grew up as a huge wrestling fan in the 80s. He was one of the best on the mic talkers. He had a feud with Hulk Hogan. Was fucking great. When you saw him in this, he plays this incredible everyman who's kind of walking around L.A. He's a hardworking normal
And he's
guy.
got a mullet.
Yeah, he did everything right, but he had to leave his wife and kids behind because manufacturing shut down. And so he's just walking around trying to make a living. He lives in this shanty village. And he finds these guys at a mission that are making sunglasses that let us see what's really going on. What's really going on is our whole world has been taken over by capitalist aliens. So there's that great scene where he first puts the glasses on and all the billboards just say, obey, consume, reproduce.
Yeah.
He's looking at magazines. There's these kind of no-skinned pussy face aliens everywhere. And it's so incredible. It has one of the best, 8-minute long fistfight scenes in movie history with Keith David. And it's such a fun, beautiful kind of idea that has only grown bigger with social media and the consolidation of wealth. I think They Live might be the most prescient John Carpenter movie we have left.
It might be.
I mean, it is so perfectly aged with the times, and the visuals of it are perfect. It's such a fun ride. It's got great action. Roddy Piper is really the star of the movie. That's the famous, he goes in the bank, and he's like, I came here to chew bubble gum and kick ass, and I'm all out of bubble gum. And then when the one alien's like, he's in the bank, he holds the shotgun over, Mama don't like tattletales. And it's incredible. That whole movie fucking rips, and I can't believe I got it at this point of the draft. And for final...
I feel like that's an easy one, though. It's just that's the obvious thing. Is, we're all consumers and all this bullshit, you know?
Yeah, but he does it in such an inventive way.
That's your critique on the movie, is that it's right?
Well, because I'm not opposed to consuming and obeying.
Oh my god!
Spoken like a true soul.
If you think
is Sam a capitalist or a communist?
So Sam is.
See, that's why I don't think that's
Sam is the homeless guy who, when they bulldoze the village, he goes, "This sucks. I'm going to get a tuxedo and party with the aliens."
Yeah.
And he's just like, boys, get some of the good life. The fight's over. They've won.
Hey, man, I'm just going to let you in on a little secret. Our society only exists and works because people consume and obey.
This is insane. So
Okay,
you're a
anyways,
human betrayer, which I think I would be too in the context of that film.
Yeah.
But that movie fucking rules. So I'm going to go, and I have just discovered the theme of my festival is the horror that's right beneath the world we think we live in. I'm going In the Mouth of Madness. Mm-hmm. Do you guys read Sutter Kane? Mm-hmm. This is a classic Sam Neill, who might be the most underappreciated Scream King of all time, who's trying to track down this writer, Sutter Kane, right? He's he's outsold Stephen King. He's a horror writer whose books psychologically affect his readers, and some of the more insane of them start murdering and committing all these crimes, right? He is an insurance fraud agent, which is the weirdest job. And he has to go find Sutter Kane. He chases him to Hobbs End and essentially walks into this Lovecraftian nightmare that this writer's books are all real and opening this dimension to elder gods. It has some of the most fun iconography from John Carpenter. This is Sam Neill in the room with the crosses all over his white asylum robes and the walls. You've got tentacles. You've got monsters. You've got a dimensional wall that's actually the pages of a book ripping open and hordes of monsters coming out. I think this might be the most underappreciated John Carpenter movie that he ever made, and I'm ecstatic to get it at this spot. So, Sophia, what are you taking with your next pick?
So we've officially entered the territory where I am very unfamiliar with the rest of what is left.
There's so many good ones.
I understand that, and I am embarrassed that I've not seen more John Carpenter, but I'm going to go off of what I can assume from a cover and what I know at surface level, and I'm going to go Christine, because I've met Christine the car at a convention. I got my picture with her.
Yes.
She's beautiful. So Christine the Killer Car.
It's a solid name.
I can only assume that she is also a slasher in her own way.
So Christine is about a boy who's picked on. He's the classic, like, once loved, wants to be cool, he's not, he's picked on. He finds this old beat-up car, and the guy doesn't want to give it to him, whatever. He gets it, and he starts repairing it, right? And as he does, there's this very weird kind of sexual chemistry with the kid in the car that develops.
I chose the wrong one.
And he starts kind of changing into this, like, dark Arthur Fonzarelli, the Fonz from Happy Days. And whoever bullies him and picks on him, the car will seek out and get revenge, right?
Oh, that's cute. Okay,
Some of the coolest car scenes ever, like when the car's on fire and it's chasing that kid down to run him over. There's the scene where the bullies smash the car, and he is talking to Christine, and I think the line is, he's like, show me. And it's very weird, right? It's kind of like asking a girl to take her boobs out. And the car unfolds itself, and all the damage is repaired, and like the dents pop out, the windshield fixes, and Christine is a self-healing monster at the core of this movie. It's a really awesome film. Nice. What we should have done is had you do the Lifeline, phone a friend, and message Josh. I'm sure he would have an unlimited amount.
John Carpenter
he's a huge John. I'm going to text him a picture of your list.
Please don't.
And see
I won't have a home.
Yeah, that's right.
He's going to be so mad.
You pick really, Christine is a great choice.
But hear me out. So connecting all of it together, the film festival overall theme of mine is too close to home.
Yes.
Things that just happen to the simple men and women of America. You know, babysitters.
That's pretty good.
A lonesome boy who finds a hobby. Elvis Presley, the most American.
I don't even... Was he American?
Yes. Okay. Very American. You might have saved... That's a good pitch for the festival.
Yeah, thank you. See, I might not know where I'm going, but I get that.
Elvis is a head scratcher.
I mean,
but there's probably a demo for that.
The only other movie I was excited about.
This is the live draft is an
That's right.
Nemesis, right?
On the swivel.
Sam, your nemesis, Sam. Yeah, he's trying to throw you off.
Hey, sister, you ain't winning this one.
Oh no!
All right, so back to me.
I know what he's gonna pick. I'll just write it down.
I've been saving this one because
no one else would have picked it.
Because everybody else is too afraid to like James Wood, even though he's great. So I'm going with John Carpenter's Vampires.
I do think everything that Sam said prior about consumerism and obeying James Wood, he'd be right there with you, man.
Yeah.
You're the James Woods of this podcast. Is that what you're going for?
It could be worse, I guess.
This is insane.
I could be the Michael Moore of the podcast.
Why do you love Vampire so much?
All right.
Because you really like this movie a lot.
This is a cool movie.
This is a legit one that I really like. And I don't know. I just really like James Wood's character. I like that it's
in life.
It's
in
like
real
a
life.
gritty kind of westernized vampire.
Yeah.
And it's basically two dudes on a mission.
Well, they have a whole vampire squad. They're vampire assassins. They're hunters.
Well, but don't like the other three dudes die.
A bunch of them die, yeah.
And so he's stuck with just James Wood and this priest.
This speaks to your D&D love. They kind of have like an adventure party.
That's exactly it.
They
They're
have
going on
really
an
cool
adventure.
weapons.
And they're fighting this dude who's like 1,000 years old, but he's still got like the punk faux hawk rocker modern day.
Well, yeah, because he kind of has this like weird Chris Angel aesthetic.
Yeah.
Like he's very like adapting to the decades he's in vampire.
Yeah, that was like early 2000s or late 90s. I don't remember. And they talk a lot about boners a lot, which I enjoy.
As one does.
Yeah, it was just cool.
What's the line? You want to read the dialogue you pulled up? You said this was a crucial piece of evidence.
Okay, yeah. Oh, hold on. How do I get to... There it is.
Can you talk into the mic while you read?
Okay, so this is my favorite little segment of the movie, and it's Jack Crow, which is James Wood, talking to the father, Adam. And he says, let me ask you a question. When you were stabbing that vampire in there, Adam, yeah. Did you get a little wood? Adam, mahogany. Excuse me? Ebony. Is ebony wood? I don't know.
No.
And he's like, what? And he's like, teak. Which Griffey pointed out to me is a very soft wood.
A very soft wood. Yes, my father's a woodworker, yeah.
Are you possessed by demons? Major Chubby. Language, Padre. It's just like it's like the buddy cop, like
it's that highfalutin lingo. They got you in on it.
I don't know why that specific thing so I got to be, and it's like the gallows humor, right? They're going in to fight this fucking vampire.
John Carpenter loves a devil may care, charismatic leading man.
And that's what James Wood is.
Was. R.I.P. to his career.
Is he dead?
No.
Oh, okay.
Just entertainment industry speaking, yeah.
All right, so those are my three.
I think I
sealed
like
it up.
Vampire 2. I think that's a pretty fun.
So I had Escape from L.A.
We'll do that after. Okay. I got all the lists written down. So Heath,
okay,
there is still a lot of meat on this bone here.
There is a lot of meat. Let's see some of the movies that won't be picked. Village of the Damned, which is
Griffey picked it.
No, I didn't.
No, you didn't.
I'll do an honorable mention when we're done. So you've got some good ones here left.
Yeah. So Village of the Damned, not as successful of a remake. The first is the original is much
Christopher
superior.
Reeves and Mark Hamill.
And Kirstie Alley, I think, is in that. Mm-hmm. But the original is just like a perfect Twilight Zone episode. Memoirs of an Invisible Man, kind of underrated. It's a bit of a comedy.
Oh.
Griffey's
little bit of a dud, dude.
Okay.
Chevy Chase joins the James Wood guys that hated being successful club.
That's true. And let's see what. Assault on Precinct 13.
Yes,
kind of.
That's a good one.
Really initial. We get a taste of the power of what John Carpenter can become. But look, I am going to complete my Apocalypse trilogy and go with Prince of Darkness.
Such a fucking good movie.
You know, are we going to unleash the powers of Satan?
So it is one of my favorite end-time Satan movies because essentially he is a giant canister of the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle ooze, right? So it's this giant green orb in the basement of this church that this religious order has guarded Satan forever. They have him trapped in this tube, right? These scientists from the local college all show up and they're going to test all this tube. They found it when the priest died, this and that. Alice Cooper plays an insane homeless man who starts this roving band of homeless monsters that start taking people out and killing them. But for an end-of-the-time movie, and especially a John Carpenter one, I think it's a little more thoughtful and introspective than a lot of his movies. Because it's a lot of these people being influenced by just being near evil. And what would it mean if Satan were real and had been trapped for all this time? The homeless aesthetic with Alice Cooper is very fun. I think this movie fucking rips.
It rips. I am a little, thrown off. I was just looking up, refreshing, because it's been a long time since I've seen it. In IMDb, the priest is named Loomis.
Yeah.
Oh.
Isn't that crazy?
They might be related.
Yeah.
One was a man of the mind, another of the soul.
Right.
It's possible.
Yeah.
Yeah, I love this movie. I think it's very good. It's got that really cool thing. They talked about how hard it was to get him reaching into the mirror and out of the mirror, right? They had to do it with mercury. They were just breaking thermometers everywhere.
That's dangerous.
Yeah, it was very dangerous.
Oh, my God.
But they did achieve the effect. But it's a super cool and introspective movie. So Heath's got kind of an end times
right.
Yeah.
The apocalypse
here.
That's
so
my film test.
Let's go over this again. I think the biggest one I can't believe didn't get selected Yeah, it's got to be The Fog or Assault on Precinct 13. Both classic John Carpenters.
The Fog's sort of boring.
Yeah, I like the Tom Welling
love
Fog.
The Fog, dude. You like the Tom Welling remake?
The Tom Welling Fog.
I'll never say a bad word about Tom Welling.
Dude,
That's
he's
the most attracted I've ever been
man.
to a man is him in Smallville.
For sure.
Unbelievable. I saw him in a Mexican restaurant and my knees literally quaked.
He is.
I walked in. He was
Superman.
coming from the urinal as I was going in and we froze. And my wife thought I was leaving her that night. Like I was fucking had the vapors. Big time. I couldn't think or breathe. So let's go over this again. So Heath has The Thing, Escape from New York, and Prince of Darkness, an apocalypse trilogy. Sam has Escape from L.A., Ghost of the Mars, and Vampires.
Ghost of Mars.
Yeah, in kind of a hodgepodge here of...
I call it Escape from Mars.
Escape from Mars. Okay, that helps. So Sam has kind of a hodgepodge festival here. What do you think the theme of your festival is?
Well, escaping is a big theme.
Escaping, yeah. From James Wood.
Well, no.
From the
If I were you, I would want to escape from these picks.
Yeah.
Okay.
Hey, maybe that's my thing, you know? Escaping from having to watch these movies. Except for vampires.
Well, that is a ringing endorsement for Sam's own list. Sophia, Halloween, Elvis, Christine.
I'm still so sorry about Elvis. It's fine.
You just were under the gun.
That's
You
my
didn't
favorite.
realize there was no actual clock.
That's actually my favorite of
Panicked.
your picks. Like, I didn't realize he directed any
I
documentary.
would say this is a great list. The Elvis might be a head scratcher for some, but sometimes when you're doing a festival, your first movie, Halloween's a banger.
Yeah.
Maybe you need to reset the audience.
Everyone wants to go
Let
have a
them sit and stew.
drink,
Yeah,
you
that's what I mean.
know,
This is the
yeah.
in-between go to the bathroom movie.
Oh,
I
this
come
is a
from
bit
festivals. Not all of the films in a festival are winners.
That's a good point.
You know?
She's going for some realism.
Actually,
here.
most of them
This
aren't.
is the Too Close to Home festival.
Facts, yeah.
I picked the
75%.
horror underneath our real world. Big Trouble, Little China, They Live, and In the Mouth of Madness, which I think is clearly the supreme list. But here's what I want. So in the comments, you guys let us know who you think won. Was it Heath, Sam, Sophia, or myself? Be kind to Sam.
He's a
doing his
polio
best.
victim. Look
Don't-
at him.
Yeah,
don't
Sam's
vote
got his
for
old
Sam.
lady blanket. He's sitting here like he's doing an FDR fireside chat that makes no sense.
Don't vote for me. Don't vote for me. Don't
Sam's
vote for
going
me.
to get one vote, and it's from James Wood. President
Oh,
of the
dude.
James Wood
Hey,
fan
man,
club.
that would mean the world to me. So,
James, please! All right, so that's it for the draft. You guys let us know who you think won in the comments. Thank you guys for listening. As always, go find Mr. Cream Jeans Heidi Hole on Indiegogo. We have reached our goal. We have bigger goals in mind. Sophia, the production designer for the movie.
Yeah.
So we have a whole Misfit crew here working hard to make this movie. That's why we're doing these drafts, because we're going to be super busy in July trying to put this thing down and finish this fucking movie. So your help makes that possible for us. Please keep contributing. Please keep sharing. That helps out enormously. Go to the Messed Up Movies Podcast Patreon. Help this podcast grow. You get a ton of exclusive episodes, content, mini-series about Tales from the Crypt and Black Mirror so far. More to come. These will help us out a ton as we continue to grow these enterprises. More than anything, thanks for the time. We'll see you next week.